Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Damien Costello. I'm one of our international program managers here at 𝗀𝗃 Business School.
Good afternoon to all of you. My name is Pascal Vidal. I'm the Associate Dean Academic Program at 𝗀𝗃 Business School. I'm very happy to be with you this afternoon for this webinar. Damien, you want to say a few words before we start?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, we here at 𝗀𝗃 Business School hope all of you out there are well and safe, and that this situation with the COVID-19 obviously is a constraint for all of us, but we hope that, as we said, all of you are well and that you're safe. And our objective here today is to provide you with a webinar that's designed specifically for the international MSc students planning to join 𝗀𝗃 Business School in the fall term of the 2020-2021 academic year. Today we're joined by international students across the spectrum. We have international students who have completed the enrollment process, as well as students who are just starting the application process. And so this information is obviously serving a wide audience. Today, we are joined by Dr. Pascal Vidal, who is the Associate Dean of Academic Programs at 𝗀𝗃 Business School. The objective is threefold. First, we want to provide you with big picture information related specifically to MSc students who will be enrolling at 𝗀𝗃 in the fall 2020 term. Secondly, we want to provide specific information with the specific measures put in place by 𝗀𝗃 to ensure the safety and security of our students, as well as provide you with an overview of the contingency plans that we're putting in place to ensure we are able to start our semester on time for all students in the best terms and conditions. And third, and obviously very important, we want to respond to your questions that many of you have related to your studies here at 𝗀𝗃. This webinar is not designed, however, to respond to specific program questions. Depending on the status of your enrollment, whether you're at the very beginning of the application process or you've already completed the enrollment process, your dedicated contact persons are either our international promotions and recruitment team, our registrar service, our admissions department, or if you're already enrolled and you're talking about specific content and calendar questions, that will be the program directors who will be in contact to answer those questions. Today, the objective is to, again, provide you a big picture overview with where things stand and what we're trying to do in order to make sure our fall term kicks off in the best conditions possible. As I said, we are here to field your questions. You'll see on the right side of your screen a chat box there. Please feel free to type your questions as they occur. We have our international team standing by who's going to respond in real time to your questions in the chat box. At the conclusion of Dr. Vidal's presentation, we'll then pause and I will read some of the big picture questions that are raised over here, which are pertinent to all students applying to the various different programs here at 𝗀𝗃, so that Dr. Vidal can respond to those questions. At the end of the presentation, we'll then conclude. We have 1 hour, approximately maximum time, might be a little bit less than that, based on questions that are expressed. And at the end of this time, this webinar can be consulted later via YouTube. So this concludes my introduction, and at this point, I'd like to introduce Dr. Pascal Vidal, once again, Associate Dean for Programs.
Thank you, Damien, for this introduction, and once again, good afternoon to all of you. We do hope you're well. I'm broadcasting live from our campus in Marseille, south of France, on a very, very sunny day today. As Damien said, we all going through very special times, but this situation must definitely not prevent you from planning your studies abroad, and that's why we at 𝗀𝗃 are taking new measures to help you for both your application, but also your next year study. As you will see, our programs may have a different intake. The calendar could be based on partnership and on some specificities of the program. But the first thing I really want to reassure you with is that all our MSC's program will be capable of having students on site, and also some others starting remotely on the program and joining the rest of the group whenever, in particular, the visa process is going to be over. And I'm going to start right away with a few words on this visa process. We do not control. We are not in charge of the visa process. These are state managed, and the way it works, the first step is managed by Campus France, and Campus France is doing the interview remotely. So this is still working. You probably have been through this process for most of you. And then you have two next steps. One step is the language test, and the last step is the meeting, the appointment, a physical appointment. And of course, these two last steps are currently not working. So some of you may be a little bit late to join our campuses, but once again, we do guarantee that no matter when you will be able to join, you're going to be able to start remotely your program and join whenever it's possible in line with your visa application process. Today, and on this point, we're discussing on a regular basis with the French authorities, and they have guaranteed us that they're doing their best as we're moving slowly out of this very strange period, that Campus France as the embassy and the consulate will do their best to fill up the application and to work on all the applications they have received to make this process as smooth as possible. So as Damien said, today we're not going into deep details of the content of each and every program. Of course, if you have any question, you can still contact the head of the program and our team. But I'm going to share with you some of the information for the 2020 intake, the COVID situation, what we call the pre-integration process that you may have access to right now for some of you, and also for some services already available for those who are who are planning to join us next September. Just a last comment as an introduction. For some of the students that may be online, even if it's specifically dedicated to MSc students, we may have some international bachelor students, as some of the information I'm going to release are identical or common. But there is a specific webinar on this Friday at noon for international bachelor students. First element that I would like to share with you, facing COVID-19, we have done quite a lot of work to prepare the arrival of students on site, and of course, safety first. We won't be bailing on your safety when you arrive at 𝗏𝗏 Business School on campuses. Mask dispensers are going to be ready. 𝗖𝗁𝗃𝗏𝗃 gel dispenser will be ready. Physical distancing on campus, in the classroom, in the lobby, everything is going to be ready if needed. We don't know yet if we're going to still have this measure in place, but right now the team on site is working to prepare all of this to be ready for the September intake. And we also have a team that I will say a few words later again on, a wellness team. And part of the team is going to be dedicated to a task force on COVID-19 risk prevention. And last but not least, you may be aware of this or not, but in France, all students have full healthcare coverage, thanks to the French universal healthcare system. So that's for the COVID-19 part. And once again, you can arrive whenever you're ready regarding your visa application. We're waiting for you, and we're ready to ensure your safe study on our campuses. Online application is still working. So of course, you can go on with your application. We tried to make the admission process easier. Language test score could be difficult to go through right now. So it is no longer required to complete an application, and online test may be taken once admission is okay, May, June, July, whenever it will be possible. I'm gonna now give you some of the dates that are key for all our MSc programs. So we're going to have different periods depending on the program we're talking about. So there's a bunch of programs starting October 13. Our MSc in Sustainable Finance is going to start October 13. Our MSc Arts and Creative Industries, Corporate Finance, Management Control, International Trade and Logistics, the MSc in Innovation, Transformation and Entrepreneurship, Digital Marketing and Sales, Global Supply Chain, Banking and Finance, Purchasing, the MAI, and Sports and Event Management. All of them are starting October 13. Then we'll have two MSCs with two options. Our MSc in Marketing and Brand Management and the MSc in International Business. These two MSCs are going to have two options possible. First option is 21st September for the intake. And those of you who would prefer to start in January are going to be allowed to start in January. The two semesters are independent. So in that case, the students starting January are going to do the spring semester as their first semester. Then they're going to do an internship, or what we call here a corporate project, working for a company. Then they're going to be able to do the second semester, in that case in September, and then they have their dissertation to work on. Then we have two MSCs in the wine area, the Wine and Spirit program, the MSc Wine and Spirit. The intake will be January. So the intake is postponed to January, and the MSc Wine and Hospitality Management, the intake is October 5th. Last but not least, the MSc Business Engineering for international students, the intake is January also. So these are the dates for the MSCs, and for the two-year MSCs, the one starting at M1 level, same thing, two options. First option is an intake on October 5th. And the second option is an intake in January, but in that case, we're going to organize this year as a fast track, meaning you're going to have two semesters between January and August. So the first semester starting in January, and then another one starting in May up to August, so that you're going to be ready for the September 21 intake for your MSc M2 year. Eventually, we may have some program modification in terms of calendar. This will be confirmed, of course, by program director, and you'll be put in contact with program director once you have completed your application and enrollment process. We then are going to say a few words on some more services that we have developed. We're taking this situation very seriously, and we work hard to develop a new range of services and to make some of the classical services that we offer in general available online, so that you can start to have access to these services right away. So first kind of services are what we call pedagogical services, and this is connected with what we call the pre-integration process. The moment you've registered and pay your deposit online, you will have access to the online services portal Keep in Touch, and you're going to have access to online courses. You may, depending on your background, you may want to review some of the very basic courses or some of the key courses that you may not at ease with in English, but also in French. Could be a crash course for you in French. You're mastering the discipline, but you want to practice more your French language. So you may want to study on our cross-knowledge platform with some of the courses are going to be available in management, and some of the courses are going to be recommended depending on your profile by the head of your program. You may want also to work on some digital skills management courses with Percipio, which is another platform we offering to our students. You may have access to the Kedge library right away. And you may also want to work on your French. I mean, working in France, you of course need to know a little bit of French, of the French language. So you may have started this already, and you may want to improve, or you may be an absolute beginner in French. Well, the moment you have access to the pre-integration services, you're going to be able to work with our GoFluent platform so that you're going to be able to, first of all, test yourself, test your level, and have courses adapted to your individual level. And no later than June, you will have advice from head of programs, recommended readings, academic and professional website, and so on. And also you may have access to advice from an academic advisor on the academic year to come, some of the course choices that you may have access to. And so this is going to be a new phase starting next June. On top of these pedagogical services, of course, we have developed some student services. The student office is a one-stop office open from 7:30 to 6 p.m., 7:30 in the morning to 6 p.m., and from Monday to Friday. They will answer all the questions that you may have, on-campus question, but also, the very classical question you may have when you join a new country, how to open a bank account, and so on and so forth. Housing is something very important, of course, when you study abroad. We take that very seriously. We know that for the visa, it's one of the first step, if not the first step. So we work with a platform called 𝗪𝗏. They're specialists in student housing. So from your home, you're going to be able to find out accommodation offered in the city you're going to join. There is a dedicated platform you're going to have access to. You will find various offers, private individuals offers, equipped residences, and so on. They're working 6 days a week, so the platform is with somebody behind the platform to ask your question 6 days a week, and they speak more than 8 languages, so they're going to be able to help you guys to find a place to stay. Also very interesting at the time, whenever you're going to have to do your internship, you may want to sublet an apartment. And so there is another platform that we give access to our students called Smart Renting. They're going to put you in contact with people so that you're going to be able to sublet your apartment or to access to this kind of offer. And finally, we have our own housing service, and we have 2 housing advisors at your disposal, so that they're going to be helpful for you guys in case you have any kind of question to understand better the environment around our campuses. All these contacts, of course, are available on our platform, on our website. Concerning student services, we also have something we call safety cage. We take your safety, we take the safety of our students very, very seriously. It's an integrated solution on the 𝗏𝗏𝗏 application. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 is our app on any kind of cell phone that our students have, so that they can be connected, have their schedule, their agenda, and student ID, that kind of information. But also they have this safety application. There is a tool inside to prepare your departure and risk prevention, depending on the country you're going to. Of course, most of you are going to come to France, but even for your internship period, if you want to travel to another country, this could be helpful. There is also a system with a safety check solution in case there is something happening in the area you're in. And finally, there is a 24/7 telephone line you can call, no matter what's happening. Somebody from 𝗀𝗏𝗏 is going to be behind the line and helping you, no matter what the situation could be. And in terms of student services, we also have, and I said a word already about that, what we call the wellness. We do think that to make your period of study a success, our students must be really comfortable studying, the place they're living also, and so there is a team dedicated to that, to help our students in case they have difficulties, stress, anxiety, financial issues, family difficulties. I mean, when you travel abroad, it could be even more difficult. So we're here to help. Of course, there is an intercampus team offers student confidential support on campus, but also remotely, no matter where you are. We have 3 psychologists working with that team, 18 volunteers, staff on our 3 main campuses. Of course, we have sports life coordinators that are going to be helping you guys to practice the sport you prefer around and on campus. And also we have a social worker providing comprehensive support to our students. Courses of sports are also offered on campus and also online. I mean, currently we have some of our students online and working remotely, and we do have some sports sessions online for our staff members and our students too. Of course, we're talking about today Master of Science program, and of course, career services, employability is something key here. And most of our services are already available and accessible from the moment you've been admitted. Webinars, online presentation, individual coaching. I mean, it's very key that you can benefit from individual coaching for your resume, your motivation letter, preparing a job interview simulation, and also give you advice on internship and job search methodology, so that you're going to be ready to move to the next phase. We organize a bunch of job datings on virtual forums. It could be for any sectors, or we also do have some job dating and virtual forums specialized for some very specific sectors. We also have what we call job board, which is an internship and job offers. Currently, we have more than 100,000 offers, internship offers on this platform in France and basically worldwide. And also we have something called Going Global internship offers, but also country guides, because whenever you want to work on a specific country, you may need advice for visa process, for joining and working in a different country that you may not know. So here also we do provide some help. And we do also something else. We do also monitor sector by sector and provide webinars from our alumni community. And as you may know, as you may be aware of, we do have a 70,000 people community in terms of alumni, which is one of the biggest alumni community in the environment of French business school. So it's a huge community. The moment you've been admitted, you will have access to all our alumni events in France and globally. Access, of course, to the alumni LinkedIn platform, and we have different groups per country. You're going to have access, of course, to the alumni platform, which is in French and in English, with the alumni directory. So you're going to have an access, contact info. You're going to be able to search through this database to be able to be in touch with some specific alumni we have on a specific country or on a specific company, so that, of course, they're going to give you advice. And in our community, the very first rule is you have to give back. So our alumni are used to that, and of course, our current students contact them, and they do receive some info and some advice and some elements to help them to move forward to their next step in their professional career. We also have a mentoring platform. We do have this system. You may want to benefit from one of our alumni working in the sector you're keen of, working in a country you would like to work in, and we do have this platform called My Job Glasses, and it's a mentoring platform where our alumni give a little bit of their time to chat with you guys and to accompany you to your specific and individual objective and project, I mean personal and professional projects. Last but not least, financial aspects. So we have decided to ease the tuition fees payment modalities in accordance with our commitment to stand by international student interest. And traditionally, we have a payment in 2 installments. We have just set up a new option. Payment can be completed now by 6 installment during the first month of your studies. And so those of you who have already been accepted are going to be contacted to define which option they do prefer. There is no deferment fees. The 1,500 euros that you may have paid becomes a down payment for next year's tuition fees. And some of you may have paid already 3,000 euros, and in that case, half of this initial down payment will be refunded in case you want to postpone your intake. And we also, but maybe we will talk about that later on, and I think it's time to move on to the question part of this discussion. We do have some scholarship. As you may know, we have set up an early bird scholarship, but we also have some merit scholarship that you can apply for. It's part of the policy of the school to attract best student in class. So here we go. I think I'm done with this one-way kind of speech, and I'm happy to take any question and try to answer to this question.
All right, thank you very much, Pascal, for your detailed presentation. I know this is a lot of information in a short period of time, and we have many questions which have been expressed on the YouTube chat here, and our team was trying to provide written responses to some of them. Maybe as a first point, Pascal, if you could review the start dates. You spoke about some specific programs that will start in October, some will start in September, some will start in January. Could you please just repeat that part, because I think that's a repeating question.
Yeah. And sorry about that, guys. Of course, this information is going to be available online, so you're going to be able to download all these important dates. But happy to repeat. And as you said, Damien, it's a bunch of information in a few minutes. So once again, different starting time depending on the programs, depending on the partnership of the programs, depending on program specificities. That's why we have so many different intake. So most of our MSCs are going to start October 13. So starting October 13, we're going to have the MSCs in Sustainable Finance, Arts and Creative Industries, Corporate Finance, Management Control, International Trade and Logistics, Innovation, Transformation and Entrepreneurship, Digital Marketing and Sales, an MSc called 𝗂𝗄𝗡, which is a Global Supply Chain MSc, MSc in Banking and Finance, the MAI, which is purchasing, and the Sports and Events Management. So those are the MSCs starting October 13, so 11 MSCs. Then we do have 2 MSCs, Marketing and Brand Management, and the MSc in International Business, with 2 starting dates. First cohort will start September 21st. And for those of you guys who would like to postpone the intake till next January, there is an intake in January, in beginning of January 2021. These students deciding to go for January intake, they're going to do their first semester from January to April. Then they're going to move from May to August to an internship, or what we call here a corporate project. We provide specific projects with companies, students working in group engineers, group kind like of consulting group working for on real case, a real project for real companies. And you're going to do your second semester between September and December 21. And then you have, of course, to work on your dissertation project. Then we have the MSc in the wine area, wine industry. We have 2 MSCs. One is called the MSc Wine and Spirits. The intake for the MSc Wine and Spirit is going to be next January. So it's postponed to next January. For the MSc Wine and Spirit, there is no October or September intake. The intake, there is only one intake. It's in January, and it's going to run from January to basically end of August. Then another MSc in the wine industry, which is the MSc in Wine and Hospitality Management, with our partner 𝗖𝗁, the very famous hospitality management school in Switzerland. And this MSc is starting October 5th. Last MSc that we have to talk about is the Msc Business Engineering. And this MSc on our campus in Toulon is going to start in January. So the intake for this MSc also is postponed to, for the international track, is postponed to January 2021. And of course, I'm not forgetting the two-year MSc student. Two-year MSc student, two options. First option is October 5th for the intake and do a regular academic year. Second option, there is a second intake possible January 2021. For students choosing this option, they're going to do the first semester between January to April, and then they're going to do the second semester between May to August. So we call that a fast track. We're gonna concentrate the courses in 8 months for you guys to be ready to start your M2 year no later than September 2021. Hopefully it's clearer now. And Damien, I don't know if it's clear for you, and if you have
I think it is clear. Thank you, Pascal, for going into that. So we have described the differences between, and there was some questions versus those students doing the short track or the long track program. So you've clarified those start dates. I think it's important to iterate that a lot of this information is coming out as the situation progresses. And so as Dr. Vidal said, we're putting in place a lot of these measures as we're relaying this information to you. So some of the students have asked, in the event that I move forward to start in September, but the classes don't start in September, what is the refund process? How does that work?
So let me tell you some, guys. Right now, we, of course, I'm on the Marseille campus right now. The campuses have just reopened last Monday, but not reopened to our students. Just reopened to some of the staff members to prepare the next September intake. In last March, when we were facing this COVID-19 situation, in a week, 100% of our courses are started online. And right now, we're running all our programs online. Exams online, coaching online, student services online. So students have full access to our services and courses completely online right now. So hopefully the situation is going to be better, and it seems so. It's going to be better in September, and we're going to be able to welcome our students on campus. But no matter what, courses are going to be accessible on-site and online. That's the discussion we had with the faculty, and the entire faculty and the entire support team, IT team, is working very hard right now to make sure that, and actually it's already the case for the current programs running, no matter what happens, next September, you're going to be able to start your program. You may arrive late because of the visa application process. It could be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, whatever. You're going to be able to start your program online, and no matter when you're going to be able to join, finishing your visa application process, you're going to be able to join us. We're going to help you for your housing, finding a place to stay in Marseille, Paris, or Bordeaux. And you're going to be able to start your program right away, no matter when you're going to be able to join physically on campus. We may, hopefully it's not going to be the case, but let's assume that maybe we have a situation going bad and bad again. No matter what, we're going to be able to start our programs fully online. We have done already some of the job interviews, support process, career services, coaching is already working. So all the services that I've just described are already available to our current students. So there is no question for us. You're going to be able to start your program, hopefully on site, eventually for a couple of weeks or months remotely for some of you, hopefully for not all of you. and you're going to be to move on to your academic year.
Okay, thank you for that. So to reiterate, you spoke about some programs which have options. For example, they have the option either to start for international business specifically. They have the option to start either in September or in January.
Yep.
The other options here, as we've discussed, is possible if students wish to postpone their enrollment until fall of 2021, they have that
Sure.
option. When do they need to decide, and to whom do they need to confirm their choice?
Well, as you've noticed, the situation is evolving. So we can understand that eventually the information we have right now seems to say that basically in September, we're going to be able to run the program on site. That seems to be the case thanks to the information we're having regarding the disease evolution. I mean, all the trends seems to say, well, in September, we may need some of the measures that we're working on in terms of, not many students in the same room and so on. But apart from that, we're supposed to be able to start, courses on site. You never know, things may evolve. So we're following the situation very carefully. Students will be able, of course, to say to us, even the last minute, even if it's not, of course, what we expect, but a student saying, well, finally, I would like to postpone. Because the situation is evolving really badly. Of course, we're going to be helpful for that. And as you said, some of the programs have two options. One option is September, one option is January. For others, you can decide that you want to postpone to next fall, feasible also, with no deferment fees, as I said. So, of course, the sooner the better, but we do understand that situation is evolving, and neither you or we manage this COVID-19 situation and the evolution of the situation. So, of course, we're going to be very helpful to make sure that we can plan and organize your period of study with us the best we can.
Okay. You spoke about a wide range of new technologies that 𝗀𝗃 is implementing this year to ensure the quality of our programs in the event that some students would not be able to attend face-to-face. You spoke about cross-knowledge modules and other things like that, French courses online. Could you confirm when students would have access to those online, sure, additional online modules?
Sure. All these services, we call that the pre-integration process. We take education, of course, very seriously, and you need to understand that we have students coming from different countries, of course, a lot of countries, but also different background. So we may let's take an example. In the MAI program, we may have some engineer background students. We may have some management background students. So the students with an engineer background, they may need to, go over some crash courses in management, marketing, basic stuff in management that they may or they may not have been through during their education period when they were studying in an engineering school. So the moment you've registered, and you have paid your deposit online, you're going to have access right away to cross-knowledge with all the online courses in French and English. You can decide. It's also a very good way, if you have a little bit of French, it's a very good way to practice your French, following a basic course in management or in marketing in French, so that you can practice your professional skills in our language. You may want to also work on some digital skills. So we have another platform available here, the library, and so on and so forth. So all of these services is also connected with the fact that no later than June, head of programs are going to come back to the students admitted and say, hey guys, here are the pre-readings we recommend, here are the courses, depending on your background, that you should go through. It's a way for us to push up a little bit the academic standards. It's a way to prepare our students to a very intense academic year they're going to have with us, and to make sure that everybody is ready for this academic year, both on the pedagogical side, but also on the, as I said, also on the professional side, with all the help of the career services. Same thing, career services, the moment you've registered, and you've paid your deposit, you're gonna have access right away to alumni services, to career services, so that you can prepare not only your period of study, but also the next step, which is of course the objective why our students are joining us. It's also prepare the very beginning of their professional career.
Okay, we have several questions who are asking about if they start as a distance learning, is there any change in tuition?
We discussed about that with actually the entire list of French business schools recognized by the state. There is an organization called the Chapitre des Écoles de Management. And actually, the position of the French higher education system is we're not going to move down our fees. Different reasons for that. First reason, well, the value of the degree is still the same. Second reason, we are working very hard and setting up in place all these services that are already existing, but accessible online, plus developing new services available online is a huge investment for us in terms of work, in terms of money. So no, there is no modification of our fees. Hopefully, we're going to be able to welcome the students on site. Actually, what we are observing right now is with our current students working remotely, because actually we have the entire cohort of our entire program portfolio not on campus. What we observe is actually the service we provide is very much more personalized, as we have actually may be interesting to observe, but that's what we do observe. We are capable of providing a much more individualized support and services to our students this way. And the entire team is working very hard. 100% of our team right now is working remotely from their home. And a new range of services already available to make sure that each and every single student has access to very much individualized support. We do have a scholarship, and actually we reinforce the scholarship we provide to students to take into an account rather the economic difficulties that some of our applicants and some of our students may have. We have put on the table or for our current students, and some of them were experiencing difficulties because when you're an international student and you may have lost your internship, so incomes coming with the internship may be down. And so we have provided more than 100,000 euros for helping these students. And every single year we provide something. I think last year it was close to 800,000 euros as bursaries for our students. And this could be asked. I mean, you can ask for any of the scholarships online or contacting the team, of course.
Okay, a couple of different questions, which are different iterations of the same issue. Some students, we talked about the possibility, for example, international business and MSc marketing and brand management, which will have two start dates, September or January. Yes. There's a series of, most of the MSCs, essentially all of the MSCs are built around the same structure, which is for the specialization year. It's 2 semesters full-time in the classroom and 1 semester typically doing a 4 to 6 month internship. You spoke earlier about corporate projects and how we're going to try to introduce corporate projects in the middle so that students can follow. For those, the bigger question is for those students who really want that professional experience via an internship that a corporate project may not allow them to provide. How would it work if they were to sort of introduce an internship at another semester other than the original architecture of the program, and it was to postpone the overall duration of their program? Is there adaptability in that regard?
Absolutely. The regulation is all our programs are following very clear regulation. MSCs in France are managed by what we call the Conférence des Grandes Écoles, which is professional organization of all the top French business schools running in France. And the regulation is very clear. For MSCs, actually you have 36 months to complete an MSc the moment you've registered. So let's take an example. You're doing your you do a September intake, you do your two first semester, and normally in May or June, you're supposed to move on to your dissertation and a 4-month minimum of an internship. And let's assume that next year, 2021, September, let's assume there is a COVID-19 again period, and you may not be able to find an option for an internship that you're keen of. Well, you still have, you have done 12 months and you still have 24 months to complete your internship and your dissertation. So yes, it's possible to postpone. There's no additional fees for that. It's just that the regulation is designed to enable students to do so for different reasons. I mean, you may, unfortunately, some students may have an accident, and if you have an accident, well, you may not be able to complete the entire program or your dissertation or your internship. So yes, the only rule here is from the moment you start, you must be done in the 36th next month.
Okay. We have some questions. A few students out there are planning to attend programs in French, notably the MAI in French. Are these options to postpone, to start on time at a deferred start date? Are these the same for the French programs as the English programs, or are these only English MSCs that we're speaking?
What I've explained is for all MSc programs. Of course, almost all our MSCs are in English, and no doubt about that. We also have some specialized masters. The specialized masters are in French, and they have separate intake that we have not talked about this afternoon, sorry.
Okay, so not really a question, but just to repeat and to recap some of the things that Dr. Vidal has said. We have the full intention to start the fall semester in the best conditions possible. In order to do that, most programs, the majority of our MSCs have been deferred to an early October start date. We have some exceptions, notably the International Business MSc and the MSc in Master in Brand Management, which will have 2 options to start date. Those 2 programs only, that's September or January. All programs which start in the M1 year will start in October. Then we're going to push the calendar off a little bit to enable students to join the M2 year in the fall semester, the ensuing year as planned. What do students have in terms of options? One, they can start the semester, we hope, face-to-face as initially planned in October in the classroom, and we have every reason to believe that the situation will improve and that we'll be able to do that. In the event that a student, for whatever reason, was not able to be here face-to-face in October, he or she can start the program from their home country or wherever they are in the world via distance learning modules, and we're doing everything to make sure that once they are here and they arrive, we can accept them in the best of conditions. If a student wishes to defer his or her enrollment until the fall semester of the 2021-22 academic year, we have a new flexibility in place to do that, which is that the €3,000 initial tuition payment which was paid will be 50% retained by 𝗀𝗄𝗃, which enables the student to keep the terms and conditions, including the tuition fees and or any other scholarships which were offered to the student, to continue into the following year. The other 1,500 would be reimbursed, and that 1,500 that 𝗀𝗃 retains will be applied towards future tuition. And then, of course, the other option is to ask for a full reimbursement of the entire €3,000, which will be refunded in full. However, the student would need to reapply in the ensuing year and go that route. So I think that's just a recap of some of the questions we've had about that, but just to repeat those things. When is the deadline to make my fee payments? The majority of our programs, which are starting in October, we want the students to return their student contracts and ensure their initial tuition payment in order to confirm their enrollment before the end of July. There are a couple of programs, which notably the MSc in Wine and Spirits, which will start in January. We're going to have specific program content communication with the students about that and any particular conditions that may apply. So that program is a little bit off the charts from the rest. The others, we ask our students to make sure that they confirm their enrollment choices before the end of July. Those students, so we have some other technical questions, such as I received an admission letter saying that I need to be in place on September 1st. Now the program is going to start in October. Obviously, this is going to necessitate that 𝗀𝗄 communicate with students for the purposes of visa, the new start dates, and we need to put those measures in place in conjunction with our registrar department. And in terms of who are your contact people at this point? As we said at the beginning of the webinar, if you are in the initial phases of your application process, your interlocutors, your dedicated contact people, are our international promotions team. And you should already have received one, if not several messages from your dedicated contact person at 𝗀𝗄. If you have completed your application, finalized your application, and you are in the admissions interview process, your contact people are with our admissions departments. If you have been admitted and you have been sent a student contract, you're in the phases of returning your student contract and ensuring your fees, your dedicated contact person is our registrar department at the laurence.mariet-sanchez email address. And finally, if you've completed all of the steps of the application and enrollment process and your questions are related to academic content and calendar information, your dedicated contact persons will be those people in the academic program to which you have applied and been enrolled. Okay? Our admissions team will be resending this webinar to all of the people in our database, all the people who have started an application, regardless of the stage of completion. And we'll also be sending a recap of the key information, notably, obviously, the start dates for the different programs, revised deadlines, and things of that nature. Are there any last questions? I see a few questions which have already been addressed, have been expressed here, but maybe just give a couple more minutes if any of you have specific questions.
And Damien, maybe you could, I think, I'm not sure you've said that already, but this webinar is going to be available for those of you who want to say it again, to go back to some of the things we've said, the question we've answered, details we've given. So this will be available. Yeah,
absolutely. We want all of you to know that regardless of where you are in your application and enrollment process, you have a number of different contact people here at 𝗀𝗄 who want to do everything to make sure that you're informed, that you have all of the information that you need. So don't hesitate to reach out to any of us, and we'll be sure to answer your questions as clearly as possible. I don't see any new questions, Pascal.
Well, in that case, let's close the webinar. Well, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to be with you guys, to try to provide you with as much information as we can. Hopefully, we have answered most of your questions. If you still have some, please feel free and do not hesitate to contact our team. You have the contact info with this web page, and Damien, I'll let you close the webinar down.
Okay, thank you very much. I see a few of you have put in some questions which are not related to the specific measures regarded to COVID-19, which are general program, specific program content questions or questions that have been addressed earlier about online modules being available, start dates, etc. So we'll be sure to answer your questions specifically. We're not moving on without answering those questions. And if we don't answer them to your satisfaction, please feel free to email your contact person directly at the Promotions and Recruitment Department. We'd be more than happy to help you. Again, the last few questions that are popping up, I'm sorry, the questions keep popping up, but they're not, they're really not the objective of this webinar. So again, thank you all for attending. Thank you, Dr. Vidal, for taking the time to provide this clarification.
My pleasure.
Know that this is a work in progress, and we're all dedicating all of our energies to row in the same direction and to make sure that 𝗬𝗁 doesn't skip a beat in terms of its academic quality and ensuring the best possible experience for our students. So thank you very much, and have a nice day.
Have a nice day, stay safe, and hopefully we'll see each other on campus in September or October. Bye.